Welcome to the Tom Bernard Show, except it's not the Tom Bernard Show. Or should I say the family, but it's not the family either.
Where is the family?
The Andy, Dave, and Josh Show with
Officer Dave.
And Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk.
Yeah, Tom is currently at a meeting with some advertisers, and Lord knows where the other two are. We never know where they are on Friday. So we have some news that I don't think either of you are going to care so much about, but the millennials in our audience are going to be sad to learn that Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball Z, has died. All we know is that he had a subdural hematoma, which is usually caused by a head injury. He was 68, I believe. So, I mean, that is the age where you have to start being careful about falling in the shower and things like that.
Oh, my kids were big into Dragon Ball Z.
Everyone under the age of probably 40-ish.
Yeah.
Watched Dragon Ball Z at some point when they were kids.
Yep.
And the entire country of Mexico is mourning because Dragon Ball Z is weirdly huge there.
Is it really?
Yeah, for some reason. But other than that,
no idea about Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball, you don't know Dragon Ball? Well, how old are your kids?
My kids are 44, 42, and 37.
Oh, so the 37-year-old probably watched it at some point.
I don't think so.
No?
I do not think she watched Dragon Ball.
Huh. Well, some of our audience did. I know that much because
okay. You watched Dragon Ball.
Oh yeah, I was super big into Dragon Ball Z for a long time. I mean, I was probably 12 years old at the time, so that was a long time ago.
Yep.
But he did Chrono Trigger, he did Dragon Quest, and he did a bunch of other things that Westerners aren't going to know about, but those are the two big ones for the elder millennials in the crowd, which I'm assuming there aren't too many of, but there's at least a few.
There's a few of you.
Mm-hmm.
Geez, I cannot even take that as a segue into talking about some of the gaming companies like Electronic Arts or Activision or Take-Two Interactive.
Well, Dragon Quest was a Square Enix game. So how about Square Enix? There you go.
Don't think that is public, at least here in the United States.
I wonder, actually, Square Enix stock, are they?
So you can go look, but usually nope. I will hear something and then I will segue into a particular stock. And before I mention anything more about stocks, do be mindful that these are any stocks that I talk about and their results, non-results are based on my research, my opinions. They may not be suitable for you. All stocks are volatile. They do go up and down. You can lose money. And before you make any decision about stocks, please consult a financial advisor like myself.
There you go.
How's that for disclaimer?
Get your daily plug in. I like it.
There you go.
Well, that's it, Super Dave. Gotta plug yourself. Have to promote yourself.
Exactly.
That's what you're here for.
I mean, there was an awful lot of promotion going on last night at the State of the Union address. But I really do not want to talk about politics, but there was an awful lot of self-promotion in that particular address and a lot of blame going on.
Did you listen to it, Dave?
Yeah,
I don't think I've listened to a State of the Union address in my life.
It's all just how more me now.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's the thing about politicians is you can't really pay attention to what they say, but what they do. And the State of the Union address is just them saying things.
Yep.
So it kind of feels like, I don't know.
Well, that's why I didn't stay with the whole thing. I read the read the reviews before and read the reviews after. And all I know is your dad doesn't pay his fair share, Andy.
Of course not.
Of taxes.
And that's aside from all the tax evasion he does.
But he doesn't pay his fair share. And I do know that several of the largest corporations in the country pay little or no tax. And you, Super Dave, the tax burden is only on you.
It's a good
And if
thing
we
I got
could-
big shoulders, Josh.
Mhm.
That's it. And if we could shift that
Shoulders
tax
Atlas.
burden to all those big corporations who aren't paying their fair share, why we and the government can spend more money and you can pay less in taxes.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up, but we just got our Hennepin County property tax statement
Yes.
Oh yeah,
for a third of an acre, $6,200.
$6,200.
Yep. You see
Well,
why?
hold
I
on.
know
Is that just the land, or is that the land and your house?
land and house
Well,
Yeah, it's based on the assessed value
assessed
of the
value?
property.
Exactly.
But that's still quite a bit. I mean, a third of an acre is a decent plot of land, but it's not going to be holding any mansions on it.
No, definitely not.
well, no, that depends on the neighborhood you live in.
It's a nice neighborhood.
That's true,
It's-
yes.
Yeah.
No, I am very serious. It depends on the neighborhood that you live in. I was just down in Tampa last week, and I went running through several neighborhoods. And the closer you
chasing
are
it?
to the water, a lot of the older houses in Tampa are getting blown up. So smaller ranch style houses, no basement, probably 2 or 3 bedroom houses, 1 car garage on a third of an acre or less. Those houses are getting blown up,
And they're
and you're seeing big houses put on those little lots.
that happens here a lot. Where I used to work, every little ranch house was being tore down
Yep.
and bought for $500,000 and then torn down, and a big 2-story monster literally filling every square foot of yard space
See,
was being built.
I've always wanted to buy a tiny plot of land and build a house that's like 15 stories tall, but each story is just one room.
There you go.
Just build a big tower and see what they think about it.
There are zoning requirements that would
There
probably
are.
just not allow that to
Well,
happen.
Well, wait a
Absolutely.
minute. No. I'm going to beg to differ with you guys.
No?
And
Build my
because you
tower?
guys are younger, you can check this out. Now, if Andy were to buy that small plot of land in Minneapolis, and let's say that he bought it on my old block on Drew Avenue South, between 46th and 47th Street.
Trying to find
So
that
a
on
block from Southwest High School.
Okay, yeah.
And
Get now.
under the 2040 plan in Minneapolis, which is calling for more density,
Yep, that's right.
Andy could in fact build his 10 or 15 story house going straight up, and that could fall within the parameters.
Does that apply to single family house? Because that's not really density.
No,
It's-
that's
It's volume.
well, you could have several people living there, but
Well, I
they
could
want
build
more
it as a
more density.
condo.
Yeah,
I could build it as a condo, but then rent every unit to myself.
that's true.
There you go. It's so I'd have 15 houses stacked on top of one another.
Well, the beauty is you'd never have to go upstairs, downstairs.
That's true. And
You could just whatever room you're in.
once your house gets dirty, you just go up a floor and abandon the old one. You're good for a while.
Yeah, you got 15 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
Once a quarter, you have somebody come in and clean
I don't know. It
what
sounds
you're
like
not living in.
sounds like a good plan to me. Might be a little
Well-
wasteful, but
Well, you've got some very expensive plumbing that you're going to have
Yes.
to put in there for that.
well, just one pipe going straight up.
as
Well,
long as you stack everything up. Yeah.
Mhm.
I would want to insulate that pipe pretty good, because there's going to be a lot of noise
By the time it hits
coming down.
Mhm. We,
Well, I can just see you guys thinking a lot of noise coming down and they have one pipe going up. Yeah, where's that going to come from? Okay, well, you guys just think about that one for a little bit.
Joe got us some news from Louisville. So there is you might have seen this somewhat famous picture online, a semi truck hanging over the edge of a bridge. It's right outside of Louisville. It's a high up suspension bridge, and the cab is off the bridge, hanging over the water.
This is a famous picture or just a recent picture?
It's a recent picture, but it's going around because it's pretty awful. The only thing holding it onto the bridge is the what's the cargo container?
The weight of the trailer.
The trailer, yes.
We call it the trailer.
Yep, it's stuck on the bridge via the trailer, but the rest of the truck is off the bridge, hanging there. And it was caused by a electric vehicle that someone bought that just suddenly died on the bridge.
Ooh.
And the semi-truck driver didn't see it in time, slammed into it, or I think maybe swerved to avoid, a straight slamming into it.
Uh-huh.
And once that happened, yeah, she was hanging over the bridge hundreds of feet above the water.
Not good.
Fun stuff.
That's when go ahead, Josh.
No, I was going to say, was the driver of the semi rescued?
Yes. She was hanging 100 feet over the Ohio River. Everything happened at 12 o'clock. I don't know how long she was there, but I know she was there for quite a while.
Oofta.
I think she was hanging there for like an hour.
Ooh.
Can you imagine sitting in a cab, hanging over because at 100 feet you hit the water, you're not going to survive.
Yeah, you're not going to survive that. But
movies will make you think that if you fall into water, no matter the height, you're going to be all right, but that is not true.
And I'm sure 99% of it was the rescue workers figuring out a plan to stabilize the truck.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. You can't just climb down there and grab her because then two people die.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
that would be fun. But if I was Dad, I would talk about how he had a Tesla Roadster that had the problem of bricking.
Yep.
We like to make fun of that in the chat whenever he brings up the bricking. Got to be once a week.
Well, that's one of the reasons, one of the many reasons that electric vehicles aren't selling.
It is.
Here, I'll segue now
into
the stocks. The only electric vehicles that people seem to trust, at least here in the United States, are Teslas.
Yep, I see Teslas everywhere.
Yeah, there's a lot of Teslas out there.
I see Teslas everywhere in Minnesota, which is just weird to me. Like those things can't possibly be good in a foot of snow. There's just no way.
Well, they're heavy, and if you get the right tires,
that's true. A lot of traction.
You get really good traction. The problem though is
clearance.
I got it. Well, that also, but nobody goes out. Unless you're a first responder or something. There's really no reason to leave your house anymore during a blizzard or a snowstorm.
You got to get to work.
Well,
I've driven on 394 when there has to have been a foot and a half of snow just to get home from work. I was at home. I wasn't going to sleep there.
No, I get that, but a lot of people think that they have to go to work, and it's like, well, nowadays you can dial in so darn easy. Well,
that's true, but what if you're at work and a blizzard rolls in?
Then you're stuck. Then you gotta get home.
That's what happened to me, and it took me 2 hours to get home.
But there were plenty of mornings when I'd be going to work in a snowstorm and 12 hadn't been plowed, and thank God I had my monster truck to get to and from work.
Yep. Yeah, even we have a Nissan Rogue Sport, which it's a proper SUV. But this one time, actually during our honeymoon, so we were at the cabin. We honeymooned at a cabin in South Dakota, over in the Black Hills, and it had to have snowed 2 feet in like a day. And we were like, well, we need to get food, but we have an SUV, so we'll just shovel a little bit and head on out. That didn't work.
Oh no.
So, and that's an SUV. So trying to do that in like a little 4-door sedan.
Yeah.
We would have been stuck for a week.
Yep.
I don't know. I wouldn't have a sedan in a very snowy area unless I had a good backup plan.
Yeah. That's a reason why I still to this day have a great big pickup truck.
Yep. It helps.
So
Until you have to stop at an intersection when it's icy. Then you just
you just have to
pray.
plan better, Andy.
Yeah, you have
that's
to
all.
stop 3 blocks in advance is all.
Well,
Well,
I'm one of those people who lives in a, suburban neighborhood. I do have a sedan. I do have rear wheel drive, and I do have my winter tires, and I make sure not to go out until the streets are plowed.
Yep.
And if there's a chance of a blizzard,
Mm-hmm.
leave work early.
There you
Actually, that reminds me of something. So we were watching some movie or something where they put on snow chains on their tires.
go. Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
I know. We did that when I was much younger.
yeah. And I was like, well, you can't do that anymore. But then I looked it up and apparently you can do that.
Chains are different than studs.
You can
can't
still put
stud your tires.
You can put chains on your
You
tires.
can put chains on your tires.
Oh wow! I
Yep.
thought they outlawed that because it tore up the
No,
pavement.
it's the metal studs in your tires you can't do.
Oh, interesting. I haven't seen someone chain their tires in probably 30 years, but I also don't live up north where I'm sure they do it all the time.
They do it a lot more often. Yes.
But I mean, there's times where I don't know, nice chains might improve my commute.
Yep.
Just leave them in your trunk.
Yep. Well, I had a friend whose dad he'd always have Ford Rangers. That was, kind of had no reason for a big truck, but he'd chain up all the time. Lived in Duluth.
Huh.
Chain up his tires all the time.
Not that it's relevant this year.
No.
What did we get, a grand total of a foot of snow this year?
I think so.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, we've had an awful lot of rain. And if
That's
you convert the rain into snow,
Mm-hmm.
we've had a significant amount of precip.
Precipitate. Well, people are anticipating. Josh.
Josh just dropped.
I think he pulled the plug while he was on his Stairmaster. Oh, there he is. He's back.
Oh,
There you are. You dropped out for a moment.
well, I was like, oh, what the heck just happened here?
But yeah, no, I'm actually considering going and rescuing the Mustang for the whole year now.
Oh yeah.
This weekend. Yep. I pull it out of storage.
I drove a Charger for a year once. It was my dad's Charger, and I didn't have a car, and he was like, "Yeah, you can borrow this." And I remember trying to get up the driveway a couple times, and sometimes I just had to park on the cul-de-sac because it's like, this thing isn't getting up this driveway.
Yeah.
So just a little tiny bit of ice. Cars like that, a rear-wheel drive car.
Yep.
Well, even my driveway right now, I drive a Nissan Kicks, which is barely above a sedan in terms of, power and clearance and that sort of thing. And I'm pretty sure it's rear-wheel drive as well. And I have had to back out of the driveway and gun it up that thing, and then stop just in time to not slam into my garage.
It's all down to the your tires.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
100%. Tires. You got to have winter tires.
I have all year tires or whatever. Those aren't good enough.
Not for the winter. Not for the winter. Not for the snow. For part of the year.
3/4 of the year tires.
Yeah, I mean, I got what I call winter wheels. So both the wheel and the tire, I change them out every 6 months.
Yep. They're like a Blizzak tire, Josh, type.
Yeah, it's a Blizzak type tire. And they're just tremendous.
They do work.
They work so well.
Yeah, I'd have to look into it.
Yeah,
I've never changed a tire in my life. I'm afraid of the jack.
Well, you don't have to change the tire. There are people that will do that for you. There are companies that will do that for you.
On the side of the road.
Store the tire for you.
Not all of us are financial advisors, Josh. We can't afford this.
Well, that's why, as your dad said, you need somebody like me. Now here, 952-925-5608. That's 952-925-5608. You always get straight talk, not sugar-coated advice. There.
Got another plug in. Way to go.
There we got the other plug in. You got the phone number, Andy. So you call me up. We can arrange your budget so you can put some money away into your retirement account so you'll have something in the future. In the meantime, you'll have some extra money to afford the tires and wheels and have somebody change them out. You're an important guy.
Yeah.
You're
In
an
the grand-
important
in the
guy,
grand
and you
scheme
need
of-
to keep the economy going.
In the grand scheme of things, it's not that expensive to do that.
No,
Nope.
it's what did we pay? It's we'll say it's about $125
Yep.
to
Per
change
wheel.
out the tires and keep them stored.
Oh, for you to keep them. Okay. Because
So,
it's like your wheels are probably going to run about $100.
oh no,
The actual rim wheel, and then the tires a couple $100, but
yeah, once you have them, they're good for
years.
3 to 4 years.
Yep.
Well, I guess if you only use them for 3 months out of the year, that makes sense.
Yep.
So,
And
They don't
most people, when it comes to tires, I do not believe change them
Often.
out enough.
Yeah. They would
Uh,
the 16th of an inch is like an illegal tire tread depth. 1/8 of an inch is a good tire tread depth. So
why don't
Yeah.
they just make them like 3-inch?
they
Nice
do,
and thick.
they do, but they're on the big trucks that
Mm-hmm.
guys are compensating for something.
They're not going to fit on a Nissan Kicks.
Oh, they might make them if you just do a little digging on it.
Do a
Yeah.
lifted Nissan Kicks. There you go. I've seen a lifted Prius before.
Did you really?
Like very it had to have been 2 feet off the ground.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
All
that
right.
that had to be the oddest thing around.
very interesting thing to do.
I've seen pictures of guys who put like pickup tires on Mustangs too.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
Pickup tires on a Mustang?
Yeah.
Why?
Good traction,
Something
I guess.
different.
Or that. I mean, if I had
Why?
money, I'd probably do something weird like that. Get like a little dinky car and kit it out just
Yep.
because it's funny.
Yeah. It's anything different
Why is it that you can't put those neon underlights in anymore?
because it is a distraction.
Like I said, well, but so are
For-
5,000 watt pickup headlights.
Well,
so
but they're not allowed to turn those on the road either.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh, a lot of them do.
A lot of them do.
The worst
But-
thing is when someone in a lifted pickup truck gets behind you with their high beams on.
Oh, it's
Yeah, it sears your retinas.
because that's right at your eye level.
Yep, sure
Yep.
is. Goes right into your eyes.
No, it's very true. I'm trying to find the picture, Josh, of the lifted Mustang for you. With the
Okay, I appreciate that.
Mike
I'm
from Blaine
just
says he saw a
thinking-
lifted Miata.
I'm just thinking, Tom has got,
Oh
he's got a Mustang, but I think Andy, your dad's got an electric Mustang,
he has a
He has both.
and he has
Well,
both, and he's got the 5.0.
he
Yep.
has a
Older one?
normal Mustang. I think it's like a 2010 or something.
2013.
2013.
Yeah, he and I have had this
Talked about it.
discussion. Yes,
But then at home, up north, he has, I forget, he's changed his car so many times.
yeah, he does
Does have an electric car. I forget what it is though.
It's the electric Mustang.
It is a Mustang.
Yep.
Okay,
But he says it doesn't look like a Mustang anymore. They've changed the design. It's
Yeah,
not that classic muscle
basically
car
an
look.
SUV
Yeah.
now.
Everything's an SUV now.
Yep.
Like I said,
not
even
my
Kicks,
not
it
my
looks like an
BMW
SUV.
M5. My BMW M5 2013 is not an SUV. Does not
Yeah.
look like an SUV. Not
Doesn't,
going to be an SUV.
You don't like SUVs?
What do I need an SUV for?
Sports? Utility?
I have a trunk in my car. My car has a trunk.
I don't
If
know.
I empty the trunk out, it holds a lot of stuff.
Try having another kid. See what you say then.
Well, let's see. Try having another kid. I've got 3 grandchildren.
There you go. Yeah.
Soon to
Take
be
care of them for
4.
a month. You're going to be
But-
like, oh, God, I wish I had a minivan.
No, it's a 4-door car. When my kids were younger, much younger, open the back doors and put them in the back seat. As a
Oh, the
matter
thing
of fact,
about-
when the kids were younger, I had my favorite car was my little Honda Prelude, 2-door, and I had 2 car seats in the back. That was a little interesting.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, the thing about when you were raising kids and when I was a kid is that you were out of a car seat by the time you were like, what, 4 or 5?
Yeah.
Now
Oh, no.
it's almost 12 years old.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
true.
Can you imagine having a car seat in your car for the next 12 years?
It's the height. It's 4'9"
And weight.
and the weight.
Yep. Yep. And they have to be rear facing. And Ethan is the size of a 3-year-old, and he still has to be rear facing.
Yep.
Whereas in 30 years ago, he'd be like almost graduating to a booster seat.
Well,
Oh,
and
heck.
he keeps growing the way he is. He's going to be,
Yep.
you know, in a forward-facing seat probably in the next 6 months if he keeps
Hopefully.
going.
Yeah.
I wanted the only time I was in a rear-facing seat was in my parents had a station wagon.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
In the back,
back in the back, way back of the station
I
wagon.
don't think you can.
Yeah, and there was no
seatbelts.
there was no seat belts.
Nope.
Can't do that anymore.
Mom and
I'm
dad
just
had
trying to think. There's some jokes about that.
Mom and Dad had a 1972 station wagon, Ford LTD station wagon, with the seats in the back where the spare tire goes. Yep.
Was it ever
Yeah.
technically legal to sit in the back of a pickup truck?
It's not illegal to do it.
It's not?
You know?
Oh, wow.
You
I
just-
guess you take your own life in your own hands.
Exactly.
You know?
Well, nowadays with the seatbelt laws, it is.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's
So-
like, so you have to wear a seatbelt, but you
Yeah.
can sit in the back of a
Years
pickup.
ago, it was, all the time.
Yeah.
So my dad was never big on that, though. He was, get in a cab.
No, I think we might have done it one time. It's not a pleasant experience.
No.
It's loud, very windy, you
Yeah.
know, and every bump you're like, am I going to die? And you might.
Well, the amount of times I've sat on tailgates going down the road.
Plenty safe.
Oh, yeah, boy. But that was, again, I grew up in the 70s. So,
Mhm. Things
And
were-
you turned out okay.
More or
for
less.
the most part. But no, that was, when I bought my Mustang in 07, you were talking about kids and everything else. My wife and I had a big discussion, and she wanted me to get a Charger, and the Charger I wanted was way too expensive. The Mustang I wanted was much more affordable, and it literally took picking out my dad's headstone for her to say, if you don't do this now, you're never going to do it.
Yep.
Go buy your car.
Wow.
That's how I ended up with the car that 17 years old now and still driving it. So
Every
See,
time
now-
every time I buy something that I want to last forever, it never does. That's like I buy things I'm like, okay, this is going to be my last whatever for the next 20 years, and then it
Mhm.
breaks in two. So you're
everything's
You're
become
lucky.
disposable nowadays.
No,
Well,
you
that's
just
true.
you probably take care of the thing of your
Well, I mean-
of that car.
well. The thing is, you bought it before everything had a microchip in it, and that is what tends to fail in modern cars.
Yeah.
Is those because every single thing, the headlights have their own circuit, the windows have their own circuit, everything's got a circuit. And if any of those circuits breaks in the right way, it causes a problem in the whole
The
chain.
cascade effect.
Yep, exactly. So everything starts freaking out because
Yep.
they're like, oh no, something's wrong. And then the car kind of just stops working
Yep.
and you have to get that replaced. And then it's
Yep.
just, there was less to break
That's
15
very
years
true.
ago.
Yep. Oh, my car doesn't even have it. All it has is a CD player. That's
How about an 8-track?
No,
no 8-track.
No 8-track?
No 8-track. That would be the classic Mustang you want to get.
No, okay. When did they stop doing 8-tracks in cars? Like the 80s?
Oh, yeah. No, 70s.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever actually ridden in a car with an 8-track.
Kind of, but Mom and Dad were big on 8-tracks. I never owned an 8-track.
oh, you know
Well,
what?
that's
You had that Ford
Cassettes, yeah.
that Ford, what is it, LTD station wagon?
It did not have a factory 8-track. Dad put an 8-track tape
Ah, well,
player into it, aftermarket.
pretty
I
fancy.
wonder if that's happened with my my friend Eugene Bell. His dad had a regular big Ford Galaxy,
Mm-hmm.
and that was probably mid 60s, and had an 8-track. Now he might have
Added that later.
added that later.
No, my dad added 8-tracks to the car and his truck. And I remember going out and finding a converter that you could put a cassette tape in and put it in the 8-track player.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So It
Yeah.
didn't have great sound quality,
Well, no, of
but it
course not.
worked.
Yeah, Melissa and I recently reminisced about a add-on you could have. So you could plug your iPod into a cassette tape and put the cassette tape in the cassette player,
Yep.
and it would play tracks from your iPod.
Yep.
And at the time, we were like, "This is the most futuristic thing that exists."
Yep. We had one of those when because the kids got iPods.
Yep, that was like everyone had
Yep.
an iPod for a long, or a
Yep.
Zune.
And I think I still have my iPod in the drawer somewhere from the one
Can't
that
get
I
rid
had.
of it.
No, well, it's like, what are you going to do with it?
Donate it to
play
the
music
museum
with
for 30
it.
years.
Play music.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing is your phone does everything an iPod does times a million. So.
Exactly. So now with my car, I do have the auxiliary cable or auxiliary plug.
Yep.
So
We use
literally,
Android Auto.
Yep. I plugged that in and routed the cord, hid the cord. So I just push a button and it Bluetooths to my phone.
Yep.
But it's plugged into the auxiliary. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I use mine.
Yeah.
In my car. My truck now has Bluetooth. My wife's car has Bluetooth Explorer. So.
And here
Yep.
it was. The reason that I started buying Apple in a very serious way back in 2004
The iPod.
was the iPod.
Yep.
And I noticed, and when my boys bought my daughter an iPod for high school graduation, I said, this really is a thing. And I did more research because at the time, Apple was, they had about a 5, maybe 6% share of the computer market.
That low?
It was very low, and it's still, well, now it's not much. I don't think Apple has more than a 10% share in the computer market.
Well, I mean, it depends on the field because, like, yeah, every computer in the country, because like enterprise businesses, they're not going to be buying Macs. But like
No.
Macs were very big in schools when I was a kid.
They still
Correct.
are.
Every school had to get an iMac. That was like the thing. If your school had an iMac, you were part of the cool kids school.
Okay, well, and Apple was sitting then on a lot of cash. I think the cash in 2004 might have been equal to or slightly less than the market value of the stock. And they had these iPods, and I looked and said, well, the iPod costs $500. People are paying by the song 99 cents. Apple
Yep.
gets 33 cents
I remember.
for each song that's downloaded. And then what cemented the deal to me was my daughter, several months later, is at Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin in Madison. She calls me hysterically. Her iPod does not work. Why doesn't it work? It
Put it
got
in rice.
water on it.
Yep, there you go. I knew it.
Have to replace the iPod.
Yep.
Replace the iPod. Now we have to replace the music. And I'm
Yep.
such a dumb dad. Well, let's see. How many other kids are going to go through this deal? So that's going to add more revenue to Apple. And you've got the recurring revenue from the music. This is a heck of a deal. Plus, they'll sell a few computers on top of that. And they'll probably get into a few other things as well, which they did in 2007 with this little device that I'm holding in my hand, and probably several other people are holding in their hands, and they really can't part with it. And like I said, I was down in Tampa last weekend, and my 2 granddaughters, I did not see them anytime without their iPhone. We went down to the beach at St. Petersburg Beach. The phones came with. Thinking, you're on the beach. Nope. Gotta have the iPhone. can't be out of touch
Nope. Never.
without that phone. We go to dinner. Well, could we talk? Could we see your faces? Sure. And turn on your phone. You can see our faces.
I know. I remember when I was a kid, that was like the futuristic thing. It's like, oh, in 100 years, everyone's going to be talking to each other with video chat.
Yep.
And I was like, there's no way that's ever going to happen.
Well,
No.
It did.
you want future. I mean, I wear that on my wrist, and I'm thinking of an old cartoon, Dick Tracy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Or James Bond
Yep.
with his multifunctional watches. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Dick
There you
Tracy
go.
always tucked into his communicator watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got that right now on my wrist, and I can tell time. It's a stopwatch. It's a phone. It's a walkie-talkie. Plays music. This is a great. Oh, and also is a heart monitor.
Yep.
Heck of a device.
If you ever go
And
into
they
APIC,
run
you'll
on,
know
and
it.
they run on. You're talking about microprocessors. They run on chips,
Yep.
and chips are big right now.
Everything runs. My toothbrush runs on. It's got a little chip in there. Everything in the world's got a little chip in it.
Man.
And
Well-
semiconductors are big right now. Semiconductors and technology are deflationary, not inflationary. And right now, there is a huge amount of money flowing into certain chips that power up generative artificial intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And these are
for that.
and these GPUs being used for generative artificial intelligence were first being used to mine Bitcoin, which is
Yep.
and other cryptocurrencies, which I'm
Mhm.
not in favor of.
No, me
So-
either. They're too volatile.
Sell the cryptocurrencies, and you can buy chips, or you can take a look at companies that utilize all these chips. And artificial intelligence is going to be, I'll say, the use of it is going to be big, and some people are looking at it as the next wave of an industrial revolution.
How about, so in the context of Bitcoin, you don't like it because it's not backed by anything, which is the same reason I don't like it.
Correct.
But there's a lot of countries out there that are looking into making an official cryptocurrency. And once that, so let's say America creates, the America coin or whatever. At that point, would you recommend it or still no?
What instead of having a paper dollar, I have a crypto dollar.
Well, not instead of, but in addition to. It's kind of like how at banks functionally digitize your currency. You give your paper money to the bank and it becomes a number in a computer.
Right.
The America coin would be the same thing. You transfer it into this digital currency, and then you can trade it with other people online rather than having to send it through Venmo or whatever. But it's backed by the American government.
That's a different thing because it's backed by
Exactly.
we'll say the full faith and credit of the United States Treasury.
Mm-hmm. Although so's the dollar, and
that's
that's inflating like hell. So I don't know. The dollar's barely more stable than Bitcoin at this point.
Yeah, the dollar goes up and down depending on how many dollars are available.
I wish it would go down.
It's weaker dollar is better for our I'll say for exporting companies as opposed to importing companies. And we need some more exports. But yeah, inflation has actually been coming down. Speaking of inflation, the Federal Reserve will probably keep their interest rates higher for longer, unless inflation comes a lot closer and stays a lot closer to their 2% target, and then they'll probably, then they can back off. Now the other fear is that the Fed is keeping interest rates too high for too long, and that could induce a economic slowdown. And by the time the Fed gets around to cutting rates, we could be in a recession. But a recession is defined as 2 straight quarters of negative GDP growth. But we have not had 2 straight quarters of negative GDP growth since the first 6 months of 2022. So we'll say 2 years ago at this time, we had our first quarter of negative GDP growth. So we're still in a positive GDP growth period of time. And you can say inflation nonetheless has been coming down, but it's still above the Fed's 2% target. House prices, rents, equivalent rents are starting to come down. And depending on the part of the country you're in, they could be coming down a lot faster because there's a lot more, we'll say, product on the market in terms of apartments.
Yeah.
So that starts freezing rents and even bringing them down. Now we have had wages which have been also stabilizing and even coming down a little bit. Today's jobs report did show an increase in jobs. We had about 223,000 jobs, so that was a little bit above estimates. But the jobs numbers from December and January were revised downward. The unemployment rate went up from I think 3.7% to 3.9%. As I said, wages are not growing at the rate they once were. So we'll say they're more stable.
Is that a good thing, Josh, or is that?
Well, that's a good thing for the Federal Reserve in terms of looking at what they're going to do with interest rates. But it's a bad thing, Super Dave, because the costs of buying, we'll say, food, the cost of going out to eat, and the cost of, we'll say, underwear are still going up. So depending on how much money you're actually making and or savings. Oh, the other thing that is still going up, because you brought this up earlier, is taxes are going up. So people may not have as much money to spend unless wages, continue to go up at least a little bit. But that's an inflationary number. If wages stabilize and if rents stabilize, and those are the two biggest things in the CPI number, then inflation overall comes down, and then that gives the Fed a reason to say, we're going to drop interest rates 25 basis points. And let's say the first time they do that could be in May, maybe in June. So in terms of interest rates coming down, we'll say that's a good thing. In terms of you as a worker, wages not going up in still an inflationary environment is not so good.
Well, yeah, and I guess the more towards what I was wondering with the minimum wage or McDonald's workers getting paid $15 an hour. Is it easier for the business owners to stay in business, basically?
Well, it's still tough for a business owner to stay in business and hire lower. I'll say a business owner such as McDonald's. They can stay in business because they can start shifting costs around. So if wages get too high, so you're not going to find a kid willing to work for $15 an hour. Maybe you have to pay a kid $20 an hour. Then you, as we'll say a McDonald's owner, starts saying, well, wait a minute. I can go buy a machine
to do this. Yep.
that'll take, I can buy a machine and my cost of recovery for that machine is less than a month. That'll take the order. And all I need now is somebody to cook the food
Which it can also
and
be automated.
pack it
I
up.
was thinking the same thing, Andy.
Mhm. They have, I think there's a
So
fully
instead of
automated
having,
McDonald's
we'll say-
somewhere.
Yeah, so
Well, you go ahead. I have to
Okay.
look up this automated
but
McDonald's.
it's no. I'm just going to say I'm just taking McDonald's as instead of having we'll say 10 employees working at McDonald's, I'll get by with 5 to do the same job. So overall, that's not really good for the overall economy because I've eliminated 5 jobs at we'll say at a McDonald's.
What
So
about
where are those people going to go to work?
right? What about for like your mom and pop
So
stores?
it may not be.
Uh-oh. Well, while he tries to reconnect, I can talk about the Fort Worth, Texas location of McDonald's. Oh, he's back. But so I found it. I found what I'm talking
Okay.
about. In Fort Worth, Texas, there is a McDonald's that is fully automated. So you go
Okay.
to a kiosk and you order. Your food gets put into a bag by a machine. And when you drive up to the cashier window, instead of a cashier, there's just a conveyor belt that conveys your food out to you. I think
Huh.
the only people who work there might still be the cooks. I don't think that's been automated yet, but that's still, no more cashier, no more drive-through people. That's probably 4 jobs right there.
Right.
But the question is, okay, so theoretically, if McDonald's can eliminate 4 jobs and get the job done for cheaper, then technically the benefit to the economy would be such that those people shouldn't really need to work anyway. Because the only reason we work is because society needs work to keep running. But if robots are making society run, then why? I mean, if all of our needs are met,
Okay. Well, let me ask.
you don't need
Okay.
to do anything.
Okay. Your dad doesn't need you to run the board and make sure this program works. Okay. What are you going to do to earn a living?
Well, I'm talking about on a macro scale. Once this gets to the point where everything is run by machines, theoretically speaking, won't we be in a post-scarcity society? And therefore, everyone's needs can just be met by the fact that these machines are running everything for us?
Well, machines break.
Machines, yeah, we'll always need someone to maintain the machines and everything. But I think the idea of a 40-hour work week is going to become not such a popular thing probably in the next 50 years when everything is automated, everything is machines, and most things are done through the internet.
I just disagree. I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't know. You watch some Star Trek and get back to me. Are those guys working 9 to 5? I don't think so.
Oh,
just need replicators
they're not working 9 to 5. All those Star Trek people, they're living on a spaceship. So they're living on a machine.
Yes, exactly. There you go.
Okay.
Yet another.
Okay, they're living on a machine that needs to be repaired.
Yeah,
But
that's what
I
Jordy
think it's
LaPorte's for.
flying. But I do believe it's flying through space using some type of nuclear power.
It's antimatter annihilation power.
Okay,
So
that hasn't come around yet.
No,
So
we can make antimatter, but it costs quite a bit of energy to do, and it's really not worth it.
okay, and they do have to grow their own food on there.
No, they
It's
don't.
all synthetic.
They have replicators which replicate food out of the natural carbon and oxygen and such in
And
the
matter
atmosphere.
in the air. Yep.
Yep, there you go.
Okay, how do they keep the oxygen going in that ship?
It's all recycled. Same way on Earth. You know, you breathe out carbon dioxide, plants breathe out oxygen. Everyone's happy.
Okay,
And that's a thing that they can do is you can make like a little chamber. And that's what they're planning on doing on Mars whenever they colonize that, which has been 10 years away for the past 100 years. But still, the theory is, I mean, if you have enough potted plants in a room with a person, you will be able to breathe for each other indefinitely. So that part's easy. It's the replicators
but you do have to keep you do have to keep the plants alive.
You do.
And I don't know how good a we'll say I don't know how good a horticulturist you are.
Yeah, everyone's
keep
going
those
to have a green thumb in the future, or else we're going to die.
Now, I did see the movie The Martian.
That's it.
Yep, exactly.
Okay,
That
where
was fairly realistic, although the whole fertilizing plants with your own waste thing, very bad idea.
Yeah.
You're going to get real sick if you try to do that. But other than that, so just don't
Okay.
eat dehydrated crap and you'll be good. No problem.
well, I do eat plant-based hold on, was it plant-based protein burgers?
Like Beyond Burger and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
Beyond Burger, Impossible Burger, they do taste pretty good.
They're actually not bad.
Okay.
I mean,
I'll take your word for it. I'll
Beyond
stick to beef.
Burger doesn't taste like a hamburger. So if you go into it expecting this is a hamburger replacement, you're going to be disappointed. But if you go into it thinking, it's, relatively healthy because you're eating plants and that kind of thing, and you don't expect it to taste like a hamburger, it tastes actually pretty good. I've never had an Impossible Burger. I hear those taste very, very similar to the real thing.
Well, I've had both, but it has been it's been over 50. Now let's see. Got to just quickly add this up. It's been about 55 years since I've had a real hamburger or hot dog or a steak, piece of chicken,
You're a
or
vegetarian?
whatever. I do eat fish.
You're a pescatarian.
Pescatarian. Okay. And
That's
I will
when
say
you're-
that
Or maybe it's because he's perpetually on an exercise bike.
He's always
Yeah.
doing push-ups.
I'm always doing push-ups. And I did find that the texture and the taste of the Impossible Burger and the Beyond Meat Burger was much better than any of the other we'll say planet or substitute burgers that are around.
Alex says she won't eat the Impossible Burger because it's too similar to meat. She says it weirds her out.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, for what it's worth.
Yeah, the stock of Beyond Impossible is not traded, but Beyond Meat is traded. Stock did well for a brief period of time, but beyond that, it has not done very, very well.
It was a bit of a fad for a little while, yeah.
Correct. And I don't think there aren't as many restaurants that carry either the Impossible or Beyond Meat Burger as alternatives to getting a hamburger.
The only one I know is the Impossible Whopper. And
I've never even gone to a Burger King to check that out.
I don't think
I haven't been to a
would.
Burger King in forever.
It makes me sick. It's not good quality stuff.
What, the Impossible Burger?
No, just
Or
fast food
King.
in general, but Burger King and McDonald's, I can't eat them anymore. I used to all the time, but not anymore.
Obviously, I don't have a problem just putting food into my pipe, so it's like whatever. But I'll prefer Culver's over any of those any day. of the
Culver's,
week.
yeah, we go to Culver's almost exclusively these
Yep.
days.
Yep.
They've got
Good
good stuff. They're
Hmm.
hold on, it's not. They don't even call it a milkshake there, do they?
Nope.
No, they call it a
Concrete
concrete
mixer,
mixer.
yep.
Yep.
Okay, but those are good.
Those are
Yep.
really good. They're too good.
They're it's because they're made with that custard that they make.
Oh, yeah,
It's not ice, frozen ice
Right.
or
Frozen custard, they
concentrated
call it,
ice
yeah.
cream or whatever.
Yeah, 2 times ago we went to Culver's and we got small concrete mixers with our burgers. And we were like, this small is way too big. The last time we got minis, and even that is
Just
quite
about right.
it's very calorie dense, very
Yeah.
sugar dense. I can't even imagine eating a large.
And see, for a guy, like me, okay, 6'4", 300 pounds, I do the burgers. I don't like sweets. I
I've always been, I
I've
just
never,
love sweets.
well, I can't say I've never been, but I've gotten so far away from liking sweet things that it's occasionally a cookie or something is good, but literally,
Well, they say that once you go off sweets for a long time, a long enough period, you kind of lose the taste for them because
Yeah.
they seem overwhelming to you when you eat
that's
them.
I can't drink regular Coca-Cola. It's like, or Mountain Dew. It's just way too sugary for me.
Yeah, I'll have a soda maybe every 2 weeks.
Yep.
That's plenty for me.
Well, if just switch to Coke Zero.
And see, I'm not a big cola fan, so I'll drink the Mellow Yellow Zero and like that a lot, but I'm not a big cola guy either.
Well,
all
you're
about
not the only one, because Coca-Cola stock is barely up. It does pay a very nice dividend, and that dividend does grow over a period of time. So if somebody's looking for something quote unquote safe, Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola fit in the safe category. If somebody's looking for growth in a beverage, there's Monster, and also
Monster's so
a
big.
new company called Celsius is the
Celsius.
Oh yeah, Celsius. I see that everywhere. I've never had it.
Okay.
Is that like BAI?
No, it's different.
It's
Bai,
different.
I think, is more.
It's like carbonated juice almost.
yeah, kind of like your Crystal Ice, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's more of a fruit based, where
Mhm.
Monster is
Well, Monster's an energy drink.
Yep.
It's basically just,
basically chemicals.
yeah,
Yep.
it's acid, sugar, and caffeine
Exactly.
in a can. But then with Celsius, is Celsius also an energy drink?
I think it is. Yes.
Okay, so it's similar.
and Celsius in terms of stock performance has been quote unquote new Monster, but Monster's performance over the last 20 or 30 years tops all stocks.
So wait, they came out with new Monster? Does that mean in 10 years they're going to come out with Monster Classic?
Monster Classic. There you go.
I guarantee they probably are. They're gonna make it look like the cans from when you grew up,
Yep.
and they're gonna call it like Monster Retro or something,
Yep.
and they're gonna make $50 billion.
Yep.
Those cans are huge.
They
They
sure are. My friend, when he was in college, he used to drink so much of that stuff. And when I was over at his house once, I was like, "Sure, I'll try it." And it was called Volt, I think.
Yep.
And
Jolt or
Jolt.
was it Jolt? The can looked like a
Jolt.
battery.
Jolt.
It was Jolt.
Maybe.
oh, that was the highly caffeinated Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I drank that stuff, and then the following night, I woke up at 3 a.m. and I felt like there was like acid coating my entire esophagus, and I was like, I am never going to drink one of these again.
Yep.
And that was my experience with energy drinks.
Yeah. I'm not an energy. I love coffee, just straight black coffee. And I have friends that call it soulless coffee, but
If you get good, well, yeah, if you could drink like black Folgers, sure, it's not going to taste great. But if you get like good coffee, like I used to have an espresso machine, and I just make black espresso. You sip it. You're not supposed to chug espresso. You're supposed to sip it in tiny little bits,
Right.
almost like liquor. You just drink a little bit at a time, and you kind of savor it. That's good stuff. But yeah, I'm not going to have that instant coffee, mix that together, and just drink it without anything in it. That would be
No, it's you find the right brand or whatever you like.
Yep.
And, yeah.
Speaking of instant coffee, why is chock full of nuts called chock full of nuts? Coffee isn't a nut.
Doesn't it come from a bean though?
It comes from a bean, but it should be called chock full of beans then.
No, yeah.
I never understood. I saw that at the grocery store the other day, and I was like, I need to look this up. And I never did.
Yeah, you're gonna have to look
No,
that
I've
up, because I just remember chock full of nuts being not only a coffee, but also being a fast food restaurant.
Yeah,
You know,
you're
that
right.
serve-
He had a store on Broadway and 43rd, and then he made 17 more. He just sold nuts to theater goers, apparently. And then he converted them into lunch counters. And because his business started with selling nuts, they introduced instant coffee, kept the name, and there you go. So no nuts in chock full of nuts.
But they started out as a nuts company.
But he started out selling nuts. So there you go. There's your fun fact of the day about coffee you'll never drink.
Or as the song goes, nuts, nuts, hot nuts. You get them from the Peanut Man.
There you go.
What a way to end the show.
What a way to end the show. We are out of here for the week.
Okay.
Back Monday. Everything will be as it was.
Well,
So-
I look forward to talking to you guys again. And for those of you who need some help with your investments, inside or outside a retirement account, give me a call. 952-925-5608. You always get straight talk, not sugar-coated advice.
And with that, we are out of here. See you on
See ya.
Monday.
Have a good one.
You too.
Got a picture in my noggin reminds me of this one was before. Every time I hear the singing reminds me how you talking.